We spend so much time of our lifespan at work, so it's no surprise that phrases and sayings have emerged from the workplace. Today we're going to look at the top 10 sayings that are associated with or used in our work or career. Number 10. Now, it's in these circumstances where you've got all your plans lined up and the job is ready to go, and then your boss says, "Great effort, but let's go back to the drawing board." That's right, getting back to the drawing board means that you have got to go back to the beginning and start all over again. Now, the phrase can be traced back to around about World War II, and actually was helped along by a New York cartoon showing an engineer trudging back to his drafting table after a test plane crash. The drawing board was literally a wooden desk where engineers and designers would sketch plans, so if the design failed, you had to go back and start all over again. In today's world, we'll use the term going back to the drawing board to symbolise a situation where a plan has flopped, or if the boss has simply changed their mind. Number 9. So, climbing the corporate ladder. It sounds very appetising right until you realise that no one mentioned all the unpaid overtime that's possibly involved. That's right, someone who climbs the corporate ladder is used to describe someone who rises through the ranks of a company or indeed a particular sector or field. Now, the corporate ladder is thought to have grown out of 20th century corporate culture, where big companies started to look like pyramids of power, entry level at the bottom and the executives at the top. And the ladder was a metaphor for the literal hierarchy where each promotion is one step closer to that very comfortable corner office and access to the fancy bathroom and stationery. Today we'll use the term to climb the corporate ladder to mean steadily scoring promotions along with more responsibility, with hopefully the right salary to match. Number 8. It's that phrase that every second job advertisement seems to have. That's right, they're after someone who can hit the ground running. Although you never see advertisements saying hit the ground slightly confused and need a lengthy handover. That's right, to hit the ground running means that you can start work and be productive quickly. Now, the phrase likely grew from military and transport imagery in the early 20th century, where troops jumping from moving vehicles or even aircraft literally had to hit the ground and run to avoid getting hurt or indeed left behind. Similar wording pops up in American writing about people who leap off trains or wagons and dashing at full speed. Today, we'll regularly use the term hit the ground running, which identifies someone new to the role who's already prepped, productive and ready to go. Just like that new person that somehow knows all of the internal acronyms before IT have even set up their email. Number 7. Have you ever come across that colleague who insists on doing that every piece of protocol or every process perfectly? Well, you could say that they insist on doing things by the book. It's that go-to phrase to someone who strictly adheres to all rules. Now, some explanations link this back to early uses of the book, whether it be the Bible or some form of formal law, where deviating from the text was very, very much discouraged. Today, by the book is used quite regularly to describe someone who strictly adheres to the rules, just like that manager who insists on that 3-step approval process for simply ordering staplers. Number 6. Now, this phrase may come up when there is a call for creative thinking. You might be asked to, at times, think outside the box. Now, the phrase became popular in American business circles in the 1970s and is associated with the famous 9 dots puzzle used in management thinking. You're given 9 dots in a square and told to connect them with 4 straight lines without lifting your pen. The only way to solve it is to literally draw the lines that go outside of the implied box. Today, we'll use the term to think outside the box to simply mean breaking out of your usual habits or even your comfort zone in order to find those very creative solutions. Number 5. Now, burning the midnight oil might sound romantic at the start until you realise it's just you, a deadline, and a very sad 11 PM microwave dinner. That's right, to burn the midnight oil means to stay up and reach that deadline, whether it be work or study. Now, before electric lights became the norm, if you wanted to work late, you literally had to burn oil in lamps or candles to see what you were doing. Writers and poets in the 17th century used midnight oil to describe studying or writing deep into the night, and the phrase struck a symbol of serious effort and indeed some sleep deprivation. Today we may use the term to burn the midnight oil to describe someone who is staying up very late to do work or study. It's basically the grown-up version of cramming your nightlife full of spreadsheets, instant noodles and caffeine. Number 4. It's in these circumstances where your project is allegedly approved and then all of a sudden your boss says, actually, can we just change everything? That's right, you could say that your boss has indeed moved the goalposts. Now, the phrase comes from sports like football and rugby, where physical goalpost marks where you score. Shifting them mid-game would obviously make things unfair, and by the mid-20th century, English speakers were using it metaphorically to complain about people who change the rules or targets right after you've started to try to meet them. Today we'll use the term move the goalpost to describe someone who perhaps changes the criteria or changes expectations to make the job that much more harder. Number 3. Now, every job starts with, "Don't worry, you'll learn the ropes," which is code for there are probably about 400 unspoken rules that no one's actually written down. That's right, to learn the ropes means that you are learning the basics of the new role that you're embarking on. Now, the term learning the ropes goes back to sailing ships, where a new crew had to master that maze of ropes and rigging that controlled the sails. Early citations from the 1800s show that knowing the ropes was used for sailors who'd become familiar with the essential lines, and the idea spread to other sectors and disciplines. Today, we'll use the term learn the ropes at work to show someone who's simply getting the hang of the basics, the systems, procedures that they need to do in order to survive their first 3 or 4 weeks. Number 2. You might hear someone say that they just need to get their foot in the door in order to bravely apply for that entry-level role that actually requires 5 years' experience. That's right, to get one's foot in the door means to start or embark within a company, sector, or particular field of expertise. Now, the phrase likely grew out of images of salespeople and canvassers who literally wedged their foot in someone's doorway so they couldn't be shut on them. Over time, it shifted from that slightly pushy physical tactic to a metaphor for gaining any kind of initial access that might lead to bigger opportunities later. That's right, so to get your foot in the door means you landed that entry-level job, the internship, or that small opportunity that could eventually lead to the role that you really want. And finally, number 1. Now, few things are scarier than that manager asking, "Are we all on the same page?" And then suddenly you realise you're not even in the same book, let alone the same chapter. That's right, to be on the same page means that everyone agrees on what's going on in the workplace. Now, the phrase likely comes from group reading or singing, where everyone literally had to be on the same page of a book or sheet music in order to stay in sync. As workplaces filled with manuals, policies and printed reports, it became a natural metaphor for teams who are following the same information and working to the same plan. So, being on the same page means that everyone agrees on what's going on, whether it be the goals, tasks, and who's actually doing what. So there you go. The next time someone tells you to think outside the box, or hit the ground running, or indeed burn the midnight oil, you'll know which culture and time period in which to blame. Which of these phrases do you hear most often at your work? Which one was your favourite? Did it make your top 10? Please leave a comment and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next video.